All 32 teams in the NFL, draft week next week, all 32 teams still have their first round picks. Now, that's unprecedented. A week before the draft, all 32 teams still have their first round picks. In fact, that's the first time it's happened since 1967.
Wow.
And the reason being is, who would you move up for? Generally, you move up for a quarterback or an unbelievable edge rusher without any issues or drama. So my guess is you're not going to have a lot of trades in the first round. But I want to, the Denver Broncos said something yesterday. The GM said, we think the strength of the draft is in the late first and middle rounds. So something that stands out to me in this draft. If you look at the middle down of the first round, the second round, the third round, it's a lot of offensive coaches. So let's look, for instance, at pick 26, Rams, McVay. Pick 28, Dan Campbell, offense. Chiefs, Eagles. By the way, the Broncos at 20, offense. Harbaugh, 22, offense. 23, Packers, offense. 24, Vikings, offense. A lot of offensive coaches. So offensive coaches see the world differently than defensive coaches. They can see gadgets. This is how Andy Reid saw Xavier Worthy, where a lot of people thought he was too small to be a first-round pick, and Andy Reid's like, oh, I could drop 12 plays right now. The two players I would keep my eye on that people may move up for. I think there's so many offensive coaches drafting from about 18 on, is Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan. He's not the best tight end in the draft. He's the second best or third best. But the way you can use him as a receiver, he's a guy that's got a lot of dexterity that I don't think most defensive coaches would want to move up the draft for. But I could see a Sean Payton, they could use a tight end. I could see an Andy Reid. I could see a Nick Sirianni, a Howie Roseman saying, oh, because remember, they may move off Dallas Goedert in Philadelphia. I could see a Denver, a Ram, a Charger.
Charger with Harbaugh reunite.
Yeah. So keep your eye on him. Because the middle and bottom of the first round is a lot of offensive coaches and a lot of really smart offensive coaches. The other guy to keep your eye on, who I was talking to a GM yesterday who loves this guy, Emeka Egbuka, the receiver from Ohio State. Again, he's been overshadowed at Ohio State because they've had, Marvin Harrison's son.
Jeremiah Smith.
This kid is a great player, and offensive coaches and general managers who have a good feel for offense really like this kid. Runs the whole route tree. Yeah. You don't get a lot of ego. Yeah. From the Pacific Northwest, he's a grinder. He's been overshadowed in this program because Brian Hartline recruits such devastating talent that people are forgetting how damn good this kid is. And when you talk to NFL, I've talked to two different NFL people, and they're like, you can play this kid anywhere. You could play him on the sideline. You can play him in the slot. He is so refined and so polished. So I don't think, and you're seeing this, is nobody's trading up right now. And I don't think anybody will, Shedeur Sanders the exception, middle up. But when you get middle down and you see all those smart offensive coaches, and a lot of those offensive coaches have power in the building. Sean Payton, McVay, those guys, Andy Reid, they got power in the building. Dan Campbell's got power in the building. So
look at the Ravens at 27, man.
Yeah. So I might live stream the draft if there's enough people that are interested in that. I can look into doing that. I have to see, the basketball playoffs, if some of that is condensed because, on the basketball channel, JWL Hoops, we'll have to be watching those games and whatnot. So I have to kind of see what the schedule looks like. But if it works out, then, and if enough people are interested, I'll live stream the NFL draft as well, which was a lot of fun when I did some live games and whatnot. But I think this draft is so fascinating to me, and it is actually pretty funny because the reality is that most people the vast majority of people are way more comfortable talking about college quarterbacks than other players. It's like that even in the NFL, right? That's why so much content is around Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You know, like people talk more about Jalen Hurts than Lane Johnson or something. It's just you know, it's just the way it goes. It's more important, obviously, and it's probably a lot easier to evaluate when you're kind of just watching a game unfold, because you can really see a quarterback and what they need to do, because they're obviously holding on to the ball rather than, you know, the center or something. You have to really kind of zoom in to see some of the brilliance there. But this draft is so interesting because it's so not quarterback centric, and even the quarterbacks that are there, people really can't make up their mind. You know, there's always kind of question marks around college quarterbacks and whatnot, but like there was still to a degree confidence that was throughout last year's draft, especially with all those quarterbacks that got drafted. And you know, we saw a lot of success with those quarterbacks drafted, and now it's just like, to me, and because someone asked me like, oh, you know, why don't, say, the Raiders you know, trade back or something like that, and I just had like, yeah, but like, who's going to be your trade partner, and what are they trading up for? And, you know, and it's pretty much what Colin just said here, where it's just kind of like, you know, if you're not trading up for a quarterback, kind of like, you know, what are going to, you know, what are some of these guys going to be, you know, who's trading into like a top 5, top 6 pick then for that situation. So to me, this draft more than ever is really kind of such the ultimate, you know, domino draft, because it's just like, you don't really know, you don't really have a good feeling who any of these guys are really going to pick. There's not even a strong confidence of like who number 2 is going to be. I mean, technically it could be Carter, technically it could be Travis Hunter, it could be Shador Sanders. I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed. I don't want to say guaranteed, but it seems to me that it's a foregone conclusion that the Titans are going to get, you know, draft Cam Ward. But outside of that, you know, I mean, are the Raiders going to get Genty, or are they going to get, you know, an offensive, you know, tackle? Like, you know, what's the situation here? Like, it really seems kind of like completely all over the place. Like, so that's why I haven't touched this draft too closely, because I don't have a strong feeling where any of these teams are going, and not to mention, no one in the media does either. And they're the ones that are actually like at least hearing some whispers from like various GMs or other insider people. And it's like, they don't have the information, then I don't have the information. You don't have the information. Like, no one's got the information. Like, it's kind of crazy, honestly. I had such a better sense last year of like where so many different players were going, or at the very least, you knew a handful of these players, like they were going to be taken top 10, top 15, whatever it may be. Obviously, there's always some, you know, things that catch you off guard, but like, you at least had some sort of feeling. I have zero feeling at this point. I really do. Are the Giants going to get Shador Sanders? Like, I have no idea, man. Like, I truly have no idea. Are any of these teams going to try to get creative? Will you know, because they tried to say like, oh, the Giants are gonna get like Abdul Carter at 3, and then they'll, you know, when Shador Sanders drops, they'll trade back in. Like I don't know. Will the Eagles try to be aggressive and move up? You know, they're obviously at 32. You know, what team feels that they need to trade up at all? Do any of these teams trade up to try to be like aggressive, to be like, hey, we're kind of right there. If we can get the top tight end in the draft, or Ashton Genty, even, you know, whatever it may be. Because it's funny, because when I look at especially the bottom of this draft order, you do see a lot of teams that really feel like they're on the cusp. And obviously, when you're at the bottom of the draft order, like, that means you've been pretty good. But it feels like you're really reaching a boiling point with some of these teams, especially the Lions, the Ravens, the Bills. The Commanders aren't reaching a boiling point, but it does feel like they want to be aggressive, just considering some of the moves that they made in the offseason. You would think that some of the moves that they've been making feels like they're I don't want to say they're going all in, because that term isn't necessarily 100% accurate in this situation, but like, there is a feeling of like they are going for it. So it's like, I don't know, like, are they going to make some moves? And then you have a couple of these other teams where it's just kind of like, you know, I don't know, the Steelers, the Texans, etc. I think the Rams are there. It's so interesting to see how the Rams draft, because we're really going to know, like, Are they going all in for these next 2 years to win a Super Bowl because they know Stafford's at the end of his career? Or are they going to be caught between two worlds where they're like, hey, we're going to try to win now, but we're definitely creating an exit strategy? Like maybe they do draft a quarterback or whatnot. So I'm really fascinated to see what they do. It feels like they're going for it right now, but if an interesting quarterback falls into their lap, they might take it. So I'm I'm honestly from really 20 onward, like I'm so fascinated. I'm so fascinated to see how the Broncos handle this, how the Chargers handle this, how the Rams, the Ravens, then 28 downward lines to the Eagles. It's just fascinating to me. And will they all stay where they are? How aggressive will they be? I truly have no strong sense in any direction, which is why I think it's been so hard to kind of talk about it. And then again, we kind of start talking about such random players and the teams that they could go to. And again, unless you're talking about a quarterback, I just think it's, or you have like a top 3 pick, who could say with any degree of confidence who's going to be available at 28 for the Detroit Lions? Like you really have any idea who's going to be available at that point in time? Like I have no idea. I truly have zero idea. So it makes it so hard to talk about. We can talk about the collection of players, but people usually like to talk about the players in relation to where they're going and what team they're going to be playing for. If you're making a Bills video about the draft, like you want to be able to be confident. I'm making this up. Ashton Genty is going to the Buffalo Bills, and then Buffalo Bills fans get to start to imagining what Ashton Genty will do for their team, and you get to think about it and talk about it and get excited about it. But like if you're like, I don't know, maybe Ashton Genty would be available, maybe not, maybe Travis Hunter. And again, I'm just making up popular names right now. Like you're just like, maybe, I guess, maybe if the Steelers decide to draft Shedeur Sanders, then all the other teams behind them won't need this, and then Ashton Genty falls. Like it's just too many, like if this happens and that happens, if this happens then that, then this, then that, then this. And it's been the most than I could ever remember. And that's why Colin said this is the first time since like 1960 whatever that all 32 teams just are just where they're at right now. And that's why, like, if we heard a trade, if we saw the Steelers trade with the Giants or something, you would be hearing they're getting Shedeur Sanders, right? Like you would have a stronger feeling like, yep, they're getting Shedeur or something. Like it would just start to clarify things right now. So it's been kind of crazy from my perspective. I don't know how you guys have been feeling about all of this, but it was so much more straightforward last year when we would just really focus, especially on the big names of JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. Like it was just so clear, defined. And it was like, these are the teams that are clearly getting quarterbacks. These are the teams that don't need quarterbacks. And now you're like, well, will the Rams get a quarterback? Will the Steelers, the Raiders, like they have Geno, but like maybe not. Like, it's like just a weird situation. Interesting, but definitely weird. So let me know if you guys want to live stream the NFL draft. Like I said, I have to take a look at the schedule, specifically for the basketball playoffs. Want to make sure that I obviously can give my full attention for that. But if the schedule works out, then I can definitely live stream the draft, especially if there's interest behind it. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the NFL draft and the order, and kind of how there really hasn't been a lot of movement? Do you think there'll be any last minute movement? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.